Yep.
Okay. Let's call to order the Groveland Township regular board meeting for June the 12th. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. All right. Would you please take roll call, Danielle?
Yes.
Good.
Sometime today.
Bob DePalma.
I'm here.
Patty Back.
Here.
Teresa Bills.
Here.
Jim Christopher.
Here.
Gina Mazzarelli.
Okay, thank you. Everybody should have received a copy of the agenda. I would like to suggest a couple of changes. Talking to Patty, we want to take item K off for this month's meeting to discuss the full-time position. And in its place, Jim's asked if we would do the discussion on the door lock systems. He's got the information on it. So I'd like to insert that in its place. And then we need to add an item N, which was to discuss the library letter that came the other day.
For Brandon.
For Brandon, yeah.
Oh, Friends of the Library.
Yes.
So those are the only two changes I have to the agenda. Is there any from anyone else on the board that wants to change it?
Nope.
Okay, if not, we need a motion to approve the agenda as outlined.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
I'll support.
Any questions or comments from the board? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. You should have a copy of the minutes from the May 8th meeting for both the township and the fire board. I did give those a quick look over today. They looked okay to me. Is there anything that anybody wants to comment on either of those minutes? I know she nicely included Will's letter on the sewer project, and that very well done, I thought.
Just as it
Thank
was
you.
supposed to be.
Yep. So, just thumbing through that now.
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes of May 8th for the Township Board.
Okay, is there a second to that?
I'll second that.
Any questions or comments from the board? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, and how about the fire board meeting?
I will make a motion that we accept the Groveland Township Fire Board regular meeting, May 8th minutes, as submitted.
So,
I'll
second
second
by Teresa. Okay, any questions or comments from the board? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The minutes are approved. Okay, next is the financials, and the first item on the financials is budget amendments, Patty?
And as of this date, there are no budget amendments.
That's always nice.
Yeah. Wait. The
Yeah,
accounts
right, wait.
payables for the general, which is the township account, for the month were $49,881.34. The building was $1,535. The trust and agency was $625. And for the fire count, we had, for the 206 fire count, for the month it was 11,179.
Okay, so there are no budget amendments, and for the accounts payable, you just gave us those numbers. You wanna make that your
Yep, I'll
motion?
make a motion to accept the accounts payables as presented.
I'll support that, and I like the way we're doing this,
Yeah.
because it shows everything.
Yeah.
Okay, so Gina, you made
Support.
that motion? Oh, you support it, okay. Any other questions or comments from the board? Okay, if not, Danielle, would you take a roll call on that?
Bob DePalma.
Yes.
Patty Back.
Yes.
Teresa Bills.
Yes.
Jim Christopher.
Yes.
Gina Mazzarelli.
Yes.
Okay.
And for the revenue and expenditure, I'll make a motion to approve the revenue and expenditure reports as submitted.
Okay, that covers the financial report for general fire and building, right? Okay.
Support.
Is there a second to that?
I'll support that.
Teresa, okay. Any questions or comments from the board? If not, a roll call on that, please.
Patty Back.
Yes.
Teresa Bills.
Yes.
Jim Christopher.
Yes.
Gina Mazzarelli.
Yes.
Bob DePalma.
Yes. Okay. And the last last item, Teresa, this is yours, investment report. Looks pretty good to me.
Yeah, yeah, so you can see, what everything is. The interest rates are still doing very well, so, everything looks great.
Okay. That's just FYI information, so we
Yep.
don't need to vote on that. Next, we'll move to presentations, and tonight we have a presentation from Tina Rossetti for the Holly Library. You wanna come on up?
Come on up, Tina.
On this brisk November day.
Hi, I'm Tina Rossette. I'm the Adult Services Manager at the library, at the Groveland Township Library, which all Groveland Township residents are part of, as is also Rose Township. The only thing that as a resident, you can't be on our board, you have to live in Holly, because you're a contract resident. So, but I'm here tonight to
Worked
talk.
well for many decades.
Well, we would love it if you were full memberships, but I'm here to talk about summer reading. And our theme is all together now, so it's all about inclusivity and peace and love and friendship, and that's kind of where we're going with it. So we've decided at the library that our summer reading challenge will be pretty much bingo sheets. So I have sheets that have kids on one side, adult and teen activities on the other side. We have lots of activities and programs. I'm just going to point out a couple. So one of the big ones for kids, so this would be like 12 and under, is on June 29th, we're going to have superhero training for Batman and oh, you have a kid you can bring? Can you bring a kid?
I can loan you one.
So, and that's from 4 to 5, registration is required. And then for teens, they're working on putting a community garden at the library. So it's a work in progress, but that's something that they've been working on, and they're supposed to be getting some instruction about gardening, and then hopefully, maybe before November, we'll have some fruits and vegetables or whatever they're going to grow to share with the community. The adult program that I want to highlight is on July 27th. It's a music program, and it's the music of New Orleans and swing, and it's by a guy who, his name is Matt Ball, but he goes by Boogie Woogie Kid, and it's piano music. So for adults, or you want to bring your kids with you, that's good too. So I will be here the whole meeting. If you want to register for summer reading, you don't have to have a library card to register. I have some packets for the kids if you're registering a child. And also July 29th on a Saturday, we're going to have a all ages block party. So, so that's what we're all about. I'll just show you what the adult bingo sheet looks like. So it's like this. You can do it online for adults, but I also have paper copies. So I'll have all this at the back, or I can just hand some out. So does anyone have a question? Oh, the program runs from today until August 5th.
I have a question.
Yes?
Does Libby count?
Yes. Yes. Any reading, any listening for adults. The requirements for kids might be a little bit different, but for adults, yes. And on my bingo sheet, you can use a book title more than once.
Yeah, that's
So-
not a problem.
Okay, good. All right.
Thank you, Tina.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, stop by, ask for me if you do pop in. I can also issue library cards while I am here tonight. So if you don't have one, or if you're not sure if yours is valid, I can check that too. So I'll be here for a while.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks.
Okay. Back on the agenda, nothing is under public hearings for tonight, nothing is under unfinished business for tonight, so we'll move to new business. And the first item on the agenda is to discuss the Sabelski farmland preservation.
Yep.
Patty, you've been doing this?
You wanna give a quick overview of what that preservation is?
Well, it allows somebody that's an actual farmer to put their property in
It's called the
land bank, so that they don't have to pay as high a tax on it, and it allows them to still maintain the ability to farm. But I believe when it's sold, eventually the taxes have to be paid back. So it helps the farmer maintain his ability to farm. I think we've got one or two in the township already.
We do. John has a few already, and another fellow I know of. So, John has filled out the application for the Farmland and Open Space Preservation Program. This is John Spolsky. He has 36 acres. The parcel ID is 0236100033. And what we need to do is to, I guess my motion is to approve John's application for the farmland agreement for the 36 acres at G 0236100033.
Okay, that's your
That's
motion.
my motion.
Is there a second to that?
I can support that.
Okay, this is the only second time I remember us doing this in 27 years, so
I know, the first time.
this doesn't happen very often.
Here, my
Okay.
first year here.
Any questions from the board? If not, Danielle, can you do a roll call vote on this?
Sure. Teresa Bills,
Yes.
Jim Christopher,
Yes.
Gina Musarelli,
Yes.
Bob DePalma,
Yes.
Patty Beck.
Yes.
Okay, and the next item on the agenda, that one's yours too, Patty, it's the shred day.
Yeah, so the shred day, well, the fella just pretty much got back to me. So we're looking at July 19th, and I believe it's gonna be at 2 p.m. I'll have a little more about that at, 10th board meeting.
Okay.
But if we wanna go ahead, and I believe the price is gonna be $250 for 1 hour. And he would shred all of what we have here and be open for the public.
Is that where he's gonna bring the truck here like last time? in the parking lot?
Yes, we put it on the sign, we'll put it on the Facebook page, we'll go on the website. And, if the price is to change, which, I don't expect it to, I will definitely let you all know at the 10th. And it's at 2 p.m.
What we're shredding is what we just scanned in?
No, that's being shredded by the fellow who did the scanning for
Okay.
us. These are, I have, election things that need to be shredded. And I don't think we have any accounts payables or anything like that at this time. You have to keep those all 7 years and so on. And before Pam left, she did all that. We did all that before she left. So we pretty much cleaned out. Do you have some stuff, Kevin? Yeah, just bring it over.
How much did you say, Patty, 250?
250 for an hour. And like I said, he didn't get back to me concretely, but that's what we talked about, so.
But you don't want a motion tonight, right? You're gonna wait till you, or do you want it?
I don't care.
That's okay, it's up to you.
I can bring it back on,
Okay.
just a discussion. I'll bring it
Yeah,
back
if
July.
there's any change.
What was the day? Kevin missed
July
that.
19th. We don't want Kevin to miss.
You're gonna use one
I
of the old
missed it, but
ambos.
she had asked.
You're gonna use one of the old ambos and fill it up with paper, right? Okay. This next item here is as well, Patty, it's to discuss the
Yes.
point and pay with BSA.
So we updated the building department with BSA online. And that means that contractors could go online, fill out their permits for mechanical, plumbing, electrical, and building, and just send it in here. They can still come into the counter, however they'd like to do it. They also have the option to pay online, and we'd like to give them that option. And point and pay is, the BSNA program only talks to two different groups that do the payment, online payment. Point and pay is one, and I talked to a few clerks who have this, they've been very happy with it. I think the pricing You can't be, we can pay $500 setup fee, $50 a month maintenance fee, or one-time flat fee of $2,000
Indefinitely.
indefinitely. I asked him, so when the contract's up in 3 years, or do we pay that $2,000 again? One-time fee, he told me, and it states it right here, a one-time $2,000 flat fee. And there is a credit debit 3% with a $2 minimum, and they put that back on the contractor, whoever's gonna slide their card. So once we pay our $2,000, it's pretty much moot point, they're paid through.
User fee.
Yeah. User fees. Okay, so I motion to, have point and pay for our building department online payments.
And you want it on the flat fee?
Yeah, for 2,000 flat fee option to be taken out of, contracts in the building.
Is there a second to the motion?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay, any questions or comments from the board? Danielle, would you take a roll call on it?
Yes. Jim Christopher,
Yes.
Gina Musarelli,
Yes.
Bob DePalma,
Yes.
Patty Mack,
Yes.
Teresa Bills.
Yes. I know we already said comments, but I will mention, there have been quite a few people who have come in and paid for inspection fees and, all of these permits and things. They are using their credit cards. They're just coming in and using it. And they can't do it online unless we go to this system too.
So it should be a nice
This is
convenience for them,
providing
yeah.
them the
That's
convenience
the only,
that,
yeah, that's
Yeah.
the only one, well, one other, but this one was the
Right.
one that came
so
higher.
right now they can do it,
compatible
but
with
they
the
have to
estimate.
come in.
Yes.
Now we're gonna offer this so that they can do it without having to,
And
which I
anyone-
think is wonderful.
Anyone who wants to walk in and pay, fill out a permit, pay for it, they still can here, and they can still use their card. So, we're gonna just give them all kinds of options.
Okay, just makes it easier for everybody. Okay, next item is D, to discuss the parking lot. If you've looked at the parking lot, you probably noticed for some time it's in need of some serious work on it this time, not just an overlay on it. There's a couple of sections on it that are actually busted into a lot of small pieces, which is generally the indication that the subbase underneath it is bad and needs to come out before they can actually recover the whole parking lot. So we had 3 different companies come out and give us prices on it, and for years, both the entry and the exit points on the parking lot, for some reason, people always tend to miss the edge of the blacktop and drive in that big rut that's on the side of it there, or the same thing on the other side. So what we did is we met with a couple of these contractors and said we want the driveway wider there so that when people pull off, they're at least tending to be right on the driveway, because in the winter sometimes it gets real mushy and messy. And so we got 3 different proposals here. They are essentially all for the same type of service. And I think, Patty, you and I met with
Yeah,
all the
all
contractors
of them
out there.
came out.
Yep,
and
and looked at it, so we could go over what we're doing. And the prices, the lowest price is about 60 grand. The highest one, I think you had that.
It was about
80, yeah. But the basic principle here on all of these, I think, I'll just say this from my perspective when I met with him. I really felt most comfortable with Allied. He's a big provider. He does a lot of work with the road commission. I think they're a real reputable company that we can count on, and their price was about $62,000.
They did a heck of a job on the library parking lot.
So I think, I just would feel better. These other guys may be fine, I just don't know of them as well as I do Allied from some of the road commission work and stuff that we've done out here. So with that, I'll open it for discussion from the board, but those are the 3 bids that we
I
have.
just wanted to add the Allied, Tim with Allied, he had said that they will do this on a weekend,
Right.
and there's
Yeah.
no other charge, so.
Well,
it'd take
that
one
necessitates
weekend.
grinding the top 2 inches off,
Yeah, every,
digging out all the busted up base places where there's little tiny kibble in it now, replacing that base, doing it, and then making it wider on the driveways and restriping it. So we'll leave like on a Thursday and on a Monday when we come back, it'll be all done.
Looking at, comparing them square footage, the 2-inch base repair, 27 tons, 267 tons, all of that kind of stuff. They did come in also as the lower bid, but I like the way they laid out in the diagram as well, the additions that we're requesting, and in the initial scope of work, not a separate.
Yeah, we had to have one or two come back because we weren't sure they all had the wide
Right.
aprons and stuff on, but
Right.
we're comfortable with these bids now. So, any other questions or comments from the board?
Yeah, I've got a couple. So, two things come to mind from my career in this area. Asphalt will hold its heat a long time. So, I think we need to consider that nobody, sorry to say this, park on it for Monday or Tuesday or so, and that no one turns their steering wheels while parked.
You know, I don't know, because I understand what you're saying, and I hadn't thought of that, but I think the last times we had this paved, we didn't have a problem with that, did we?
But
It depends kind of if they get it laid, I guess, on Friday or Saturday as opposed to Sunday, probably.
When we've had it topped, I don't think that's been
No.
the issue.
Yeah.
The
This
issue's been,
is approximately 4 inches, 2 and 2, I believe.
Well, it's 2 of the base that's left, and then the 2
so
cap
you're
they
saying
put on
because
after
the
they
depth
finish
is
the
bigger,
stuff.
that it'll take
It
longer?
might be
Than
longer.
a patch,
Okay.
and it's the whole thing. So now we've got this big mass of heat, and it's in the summer. So it's something to consider.
Yeah, maybe we should ask the guy if
Maybe
we
it
have
might
to
be
go
safe
after.
than the sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
We'll check on that.
perhaps scheduling it when we know we're going to have an extra couple of days?
Well, if we do, and it can be done, if they can accommodate us. If not, we just need to somehow figure it out.
I'll make a note and I'll check with whoever we pick to see if there's any,
As a board, we need to consider one other thing, and that is, in the industry, we call things that you can't see latent defects or latent flaws. Whatever we approve here, we need two things. One, to understand there may be some immediate field orders that are necessary. to
yeah,
happen.
they all said that.
They all have it in there.
And
yeah.
then, what's the vehicle that we approve that, because we almost don't have a choice.
Well, we don't. We can do it the same way we do other ad hoc emergency approvals. Normally it comes to me and I approve it, and then at the next meeting we tell everybody.
Okay,
what we're getting,
I
because
just wanted to.
they all said, we think this is how much it's gonna take for the damaged areas, but if it's more than that, it's extra.
Okay.
They were all covering that.
I've not done that in this form, so I didn't know. Okay.
Okay, there are no other questions, or?
Check on that.
I will check with whoever we pick about delaying the parking to see if that's a necessity for it, and whether or not we wanna move it up a day or two for the work to be done. So I need a motion to pick one of these vendors and then a second to it.
I'll motion to go with Allied for paving, resurfacing the parking lot in the amount of $62,195 to be taken from, I believe it's maintenance.
If there's enough, otherwise capital improvement, either one.
We could go capital,
Yeah.
capital outlay reserve.
Okay, is there a second to that?
I'll second that.
Okay, by Janet. Okay, any other questions or comments from the board? Okay, Danielle, this is for a buck or two, so we can roll call now.
Gina Musarelli,
Yes.
Bob DiPalma,
Yes.
Patty Back,
Yes.
Teresa Bills,
Yes.
Jim Christopher.
Yes.
Okay. Next item is discuss Decker insurance.
So this is our annual insurance that's, rolls around beginning of June. And this year, the amount for the general township is $16,829. The fire department is $30,425, for a total of $47,254. And that covers our, computer, protection and all of that, so, cybersecurity, thank you. So, my motion is to,
Excuse me one second, Patty. Kevin, we talked about this, you looked at these values and you were okay for them on the fleet.
But what I have allocated must also include workman's comp, because I have 75 grand allocated.
And that's the Philadelphia, that's in the back of it. It was right behind the scheduled vehicles and stuff.
Yeah, I talked to
Where
him.
is it? Right here it is, right?
Is it the separate,
It's the
Isn't
Decker.
it?
I'm looking here. Yeah,
so we have Decker for fire department, 30,425, and then Philadelphia, this
yes.
is part of Decker, or is
Yes.
this part of the
Yeah,
30,000?
they're contracted.
They're contracting them for us.
Okay,
Is that,
so Kevin, you
And-
basically had way more budgeted than need be, is that the understanding?
Well, it hasn't been in the past, it's
This
usually around 69, 70,000 per year I pay, so.
but
Workers' comp
that's
is
worker,
separate.
yeah, that comes separate. That's the one
It
that's always
doesn't.
Yeah.
varies.
So
every
what's
But I'm
year.
saying my budget
This is
includes
for the
both.
buildings and vehicles and life and
Yeah.
Accidental.
death, accidental medical benefits.
Okay.
So what I allocated includes workman's comp and this. is
Yes,
what
Yes.
I believe so.
But this is the only one we have to approve today.
Yeah, workers' comp will be done.
So 30 of this is yours, so that leaves you with 45 for workers' comp.
Off the top of my head, that sounds in the ballpark. I mean, it varies every
It's,
year.
I always budget 75, but it usually always comes under that,
Okay.
so.
Yeah.
I can't promise, but.
Who just
that's
knocked
all.
on wood?
They're missing another 3 digits here on the bottom of this, what is this parcel? This Consumers Energy proposed egress easement over parcel 02-19-401, and then they left off. I don't know if that makes a huge difference right now, but.
That has got to be because I had to go to them and make sure that our liability insurance covered the easement that we got going behind the consumer power building, so I'm sure that's what that is.
Okay, so they're
So,
missing
yeah,
a
they
few
might be
digits
missing
on
the
the end of
parcel
it?
On the
ID, but
parcel.
I'm sure that's what it is.
Okay,
And Danielle, correct me if I'm wrong, but all those parcels were put together anywhere, all in that 0219 section over there.
Yeah. Ours,
Yeah,
that idea.
okay.
good. I didn't catch it. Digits missing there, but I'm sure that's what that is. And we actually don't pay anything for that, it's just mentioned as an additional insurance.
Okay.
But we had to get that to supply the consumer.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? Motion was made and
Yep, I made a
seconded. Okay, Danielle, if you take a roll call.
Oh, a second, sorry,
Gina.
Gina.
Oh, Teresa, I'm sorry. Okay,
Oh,
Teresa.
did I? I will.
Yes, you did.
I will, yes.
Just pick them.
You
Are we-
thought you did, you did, right?
Either way, yes.
Bob Zavala,
Yes.
Patty Back,
Yes.
Teresa Bills,
Yes.
Jim Christopher,
Yes.
Gina Musarelli.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, all right. Next is the BGYA board approval, Patty.
So the, youth assistants, Brandon Groveland Youth Assistants have appointed their boards for 2023, and they sent it here for our eyes to take a look at it and to approve it. So on the executive board, you have the chairperson, Robert MacArthur, vice chairperson, Jane Deary Burkett, treasurer, Lynette Kelly, secretary is Shelby Stewart Solwood, and the board of directors are Jason Rumble, Mary Staten, Fran Hotchkiss, Judy Miracle, Matt Jenkins, Diane Salter, Scott Broughton, and Teresa Bills. So I motion that we accept Brandon Groveland Youth Assistance Board of Directors, Executive Board, and Board of Directors as submitted.
Is there a second to that?
Second that.
Any questions or comments from the board? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, done. Next item, that's the MTA dues. These are the fees that we pay to the Michigan Townships Association, which speaks on behalf of basically 1,240 townships in the state of Michigan. The fee this year, looks like it's pretty close to what it's been, I think. $5,270.06 if we include supporting the legal defense fund, which we usually do. That's only $153.50 of it. I would, again, recommend that we do this. They fight for us for things like the opposition to the mining laws that they're trying to change. They do just a ton of work on a whole litany of different legal issues, and they maintain the lobbyist, the government relations person that's used down at just about every hearing I've ever been to, and she does a great job for us. So I guess my motion would be that we approve the dues for the annual subscription fee for the Michigan Townships Association including the legal defense fund at $5,270.06. Is there a second?
I'll support.
Patty, okay. Any questions or comments from the board? Okay, Danielle, please take a roll call.
Patty Back,
Yes.
Teresa Bills,
Yes.
Jim Christopher,
Yes.
Gina Mazzarelli,
Yes.
Bob DiPalma.
Yes. Okay. Next item is a letter that came to us from Ortonville. In the past, we've been kind of fortunate and had the Oakland County Parks put on fireworks, and a lot of our residents would go like to the fire station and see it, but they don't do that anymore. And Ortonville and the village of Ortonville and the township of Brandon have been putting the fireworks on and contributing money. And they sent us, Friends of Amos Ortonville, has sent us a letter asking if we would consider contributing to the fireworks this year, and they're asking for a contribution in the amount of $2,000. And I guess since we don't have the one that happens with Oakland County Parks anymore, it would seem like it would be fair to have us share in some of the costs for the fireworks that are in Brandon, because I'm sure if you look up, you're gonna see them.
Do we know what the cost was? I mean, all I've seen we collected with cans and things like that over the past. And
Yeah, they've said it was around $18,000, so it's more than we're paying. And most of this stuff took a big jump last year.
Right, they said 30% jump, so I was surprised not to see what it was in the past.
And that includes, you know, like trash cans, and you have to be put out, extra things like that they do. So.
I'm having a brain cramp. Did we sponsor this last year, or is it the first
No,
time?
it's the first time.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think it's
And-
appropriate for the community. I think our citizens, a number of them, I think, enjoy it the same as anybody else.
Right now, it seems to be being split between the village
In Brandon.
and Brandon Township, and then whatever they collect from the cans or funds that they're asking for in the stores. And
Do we know why the county isn't doing it here at Groveland Oaks anymore?
I'm not sure, but I thought in the back of my mind, didn't they tell us the insurance on it went up a lot a year or two ago?
One thing I remember is that they canceled for COVID, and they just came out and said, we're not
We're
doing
not
it
doing it
anymore.
anymore.
Yeah, maybe that was.
Those were phenomenal.
Yeah.
That's too bad.
You know, all the time they're here, I never see them because it's up at the lake
Yeah.
that same week.
Well, I've gone to the Ortonville fireworks, and they are very good. And 2/3 of our residents are Brandon schools, so they all would know about it anyway. It just takes place right there in downtown Brandon, or downtown Ortonville, behind the middle school. So I think it's a worthwhile thing to do. I know a lot of our residents do attend it.
I agree with that.
Okay. So, did I make the motion or not?
You didn't make one yet?
Somebody
You
wanna
just-
make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we support the Ortonville fireworks for the Friends of Amos organization to give them $2,000 towards this year's fireworks show.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the board?
We're gonna wanna take that out of capital outlay reserve.
Okay. All right. So, no further questions. Roll call on it, please, Danielle.
Teresa Bills,
Yes.
Jim Christopher,
Yes.
Gina Mazzarelli,
Yes.
Bob DiPalma,
Yes.
Patty Back.
Yes.
We had another letter here from the,
Everybody wants it.
from Ortonville. You know, they're celebrating the 175th anniversary of Amos Orton. And Danielle and I both were down there for the
Ice cream.
ice cream social that they had last week, which is nice. And the county executive was there, and the county clerk was there, and a number of other people were there, but quite a few residents. It was very nice. But they've asked if we would send a representative for, what is it, the Ortonville Days?
September 16th.
September 16th, yeah. And I'm just not sure if I'll be here that day or not. Because, again, that's usually one that I'm not here on. Do we want to send somebody? Or
What day of the
somebody
week
wanna
is
go?
that?
It's probably.
It's a Saturday.
Okay, Saturday.
It's a Saturday. Saturday, September 16th. Early afternoon.
I mean, if I'm here, I'll go, but I'm just saying, if I don't, we should send somebody, I think.
September 6th.
I mean, do we have to decide that right now, who it would be?
No.
Because I don't
Yeah,
know
can we
that
bring it-
far ahead. We've got the whole planning commission, BCA, you know, us, we've got a lot of people to choose
Okay.
from. I'm sure that there are some people who would wanna go.
Okay.
Yeah, we need to go if I'm here.
Yeah, same here.
Well, by then I might know if I'll be here or not for that weekend. Okay, all right, just discuss it. And then the next item is, discussing a clarification on the March 23rd.
Wait.
So are we done with this one?
No, because they
Oh,
wanted
I'm sorry, was this the one that
to
asked for
come
50
back.
bucks, wasn't it?
So
No.
can we say yes, and then we'll bring it back at August meeting and decide who's going?
Yeah, I think so. I think
And they were asking for funding, weren't they?
for a donation
Yes.
towards a raffle, basket raffle, or grab bag.
Yes.
Where was it?
Do we want-
Oh, here it is, yeah, I got it. I have no idea
So
what to
do
get
we
them.
make
Do
up
we
the
wanna just
basket?
contribute some money to them, or what?
We could just, I'm sure they could just use,
Okay.
Yeah, cause they're having a bunch of events, it's a ladies'
Yeah.
night out,
Whatever they
summer long farmer's market, they'll sell
come up
that.
short on, they will help them, I'm
Mhm.
sure.
If you'd be willing to donate or sponsor towards one of the events, it would be greatly appreciated.
You wanna earmark some money for it?
Yes.
I'd be for it.
What do you wanna, give me a number?
500?
That's what I was thinking.
Okay, I'm good with that. Is that your
And,
motion?
Yeah, sure. I will make a motion that we donate $500, to the hometown, nope, sorry. Oh, but I'm not gonna pick a specific one. We'll
No,
just donate the
just
$500 and
donate
they
it.
can use it where they see fit.
need it.
Yeah.
See fit, yeah.
I'll support that. Did we have a second?
Yeah, you were
I'll
the second.
support.
Yeah.
Any questions or comments?
There's a lot of people who use the senior center, so I
Yes,
don't.
they do.
Danielle, will you take a roll call?
Jim Christopher,
Yes.
Gina Musarelli,
Yes.
Bob DiPalma,
Yes.
Patty Back,
Yes.
Teresa Bills.
Yes,
Okay. Now, the next one is to discuss the clarification on the
Yeah.
minutes to the March 23rd meeting.
All right.
And I think there was a misnomer on the cost
Yeah,
of the chloride applications. It somehow got recorded as what, $600 and
Yes.
some dollars?
yes.
That's
It's much
not what it
more
costs to
than
call,
that.
to do
Much
5
more.
applications of chloride. It's just under $72,000, okay?
So we wanna clarify that, and then we'll put this with those minutes.
Yeah.
I think it's just somebody transposed the number here from, probably from the agreement that covers the gravel pit access road that's the bedrock
Excuse me.
chloride, so that it doesn't blow dust on I-75 in the summer.
What was the
That's
total?
where the 6 comes in.
71,872 and
47
cents. And we did opt for 5 applications.
Everybody did out here.
Yes,
get that?
$71,000,
I wish it would.
$7,187.47.
$71,872
See?
and
Yeah,
47
I was the one that didn't hear the number.
Kevin didn't hear the number. Could you repeat that?
Don't be so
Okay,
cheap.
I'm sure that 600 got transposed from the bottom there.
Yeah, it's right here on the,
Yeah. So we just wanna make sure it's always been around that amount of money anyway. It's been,
yeah, the minutes
Very
read $633 per application, 5 applications.
Right,
So
I
that's
think that
not
was the
correct.
difference
Yes.
per application from the
from the
prior
previous year,
year.
yeah, because they raised it a little bit.
Right.
Okay,
We got that fixed.
so that was just a clarification. Next one is to discuss the BSNA remote access, Patty.
BSNA remote access. We already did.
We did that, didn't we, under the up above? Okay,
No, that was,
Oh,
this
what-
is the
no.
remote access for,
Okay,
Door locks.
remote access,
Oh,
We're gonna do-
remind me.
are we doing Stacy remote access? We're doing the,
Yes, that's what it is.
inspectors
For-
remote access?
Okay, we're looking at remote access for each of our inspectors and for, the fire department. We'd like the fire department to have, I have 3 laptops back here. We do, the township does. I am not sure if they will work with this. I'm not sure if they're updated enough to work with what they need to put on for the remote access, okay? And if they are, we don't need any, we do not need any
Upgrades?
laptops or
New hardware?
tablets or anything. The remote access there was no fee for, was my understanding. And then, yeah, so,
I think there's no fee if they download the app to their phone, which I'm pretty sure they'll all do. Because
right,
Jason, because they all use their phones now.
yes, and Jason has it through
Jason
Brandon.
has it and Mike has it.
Mike has it through Brandon.
What do
Granted.
you use it for?
What was that?
In the field, go ahead Danielle, you were.
They'll use it to go and check their emails, to approve, deny inspections, to write their notes in there, so it doesn't have to always come through Angela and I. Everything can be done online, and there's no second or third person to go through, just straight through. And then the contractors and the people that pull the permit can go online themselves and find it out.
Correct.
Is it real time? Like what they type in, is
Mhm.
it?
Yep, instantly.
And then you can see it.
There's a little icon on my desk that comes up that says, you have a
So-
message. I'd expect that to go off.
So
a
the
lot.
only fee for that will be if we need, a couple of tablets. And he didn't give me the price yet on tablets, so
Oh.
So you'd have
we'll
to
get
go back
with
to
them and
that
see if
anyhow.
these can work. Yeah, but that's out there.
But we don't have to
This way
approve it.
Kevin can get a read-only for his, budget, and Stacy can do her
Fire marshal.
fire inspection permits, even while she, you know, if she has a tablet or wants to keep the. keep
She'd
a
probably use her
laptop,
phone.
she could.
We've only talked about this for
Yeah.
at least 4 years now. for
I know.
Read
Well,
only.
when I first started looking into it, they told me, no, they didn't have anything, so they've improved in 4 years. I don't know I don't have an answer for that, Kevin, but,
But you're saying that Jason Wilson and Mike Kyle, they already are using this with other municipalities and they're doing it on their cell phones?
I don't know if Mike is 100% doing on his cell phones. He might do a little in the field and then go home and do the rest on his
Okay.
laptop. But yeah, Jason does everything through Groveland Township, who has the BSA
Yeah.
online
Yeah.
through Point and Pay. He does all his stuff with his phone. Same
And
with
that's
Ken
his-
Carpenter. He's not online yet, but Ken does all his stuff through his phone.
Okay, so that should be something they're very comfortable with?
Yes.
And easy to switch over to if they want to?
Yes,
Okay.
they have no choice. Sorry.
Okay, well, we don't have to approve it.
no, we don't have to prove anything right now.
Sorry, guys, thank you.
Once I find out if these laptops
If you
have
need
what we
help.
need, we'll go from there. And then they'll give me a price on what, tablet is if we need it.
Okay. We need to move back one, cause I forgot we crossed off K and then added in the door lock discussion.
Oh, yeah,
So
the door
Jim,
locks, so now we're out of
You wanna
order.
take that?
Yeah,
What we were doing here?
Danielle?
Yeah.
If you can help me, there's a quote on this jump drive I might be able to share with the board.
Okay.
I mean, is it childproof for me to do that?
Well, the remote is underneath.
Can you, it's not wireless, so you'll have to do an oh, sure, yeah, go for it.
Yeah, on the right, behind on the right-hand side.
We're
You'll see
also
where.
technical savvy here, techies.
What are we doing?
There should be
What's her
one on
name,
one
he had
side
one
of
in
it.
there, yeah, when she came for the MERS.
No, that's right, yeah, she put her ad for everything.
Alrighty. Okay, input somewhere, right?
Yeah. Should be a source button.
Okay.
Upper right?
I knew that, thank you.
You just had it.
No, I fat fingered it, I think.
There you go.
Okay.
I think we got a lift off here.
Oops.
Okay, I know, the outlet is there. Let's see what this does. No, that's not it. Oops. Let's try this. Okay, I may be doing this without the benefit of this.
Just so everybody knows what it is we've looked at, several times we've had the doors, some of the doors in here rekeyed, because some are mastered, some are mastered to my key, some are mastered to the clerk's key. Like Teresa, you got a key that only opens, I think, your door or something, and it, over time, some of the locks get messed up, and so what we looked at was putting in electronic door locks that you can change the key codes on and who can get to them, and have a convenient way to fix it so we don't have to get them rekeyed periodically when people change.
You're on now.
Yeah, but every time I hit it, well, it's looking here, everybody.
So Chief, you've got one of those systems, right?
Yeah, we have a key punch system there. We just changed one on Stations 2 door. I think it was $140, but we're looking to upgrade when we get the new building a card swipe system at both stations, and we were gonna.
Piggyback off of this, because that's the same thing we're doing.
For sure, okay.
And that was good. That was a hard requirement from the state police to move in there.
Well, I'm sorry, everybody, I thought I loaded it on there, but, let me ramble for a little bit. Bob and I met with a representative of Sonatrol. Sonatrol is our,
Panic button.
yeah, our panic button provider. And, I think their equipment populates the TV out there that records what goes on some of the cameras. And in light of security, not only for somebody maybe to come in, but also for somebody in the event that we have to fire somebody. In my sense of humor, I'd like to see the township move up to the 90s and get some card readers. The system that we have looked at is about $3,000 a door, and we cited the number of doors, and I do have the proposal here to distribute.
Are these just
I'm sorry.
outside doors? Is that
There
what
were
you're
6 that were defined, and in a second I'm going to ask for Bob's help because I don't remember exactly all the doors. But what's nice about this is we can give people key fobs that are uniquely identified to the people. We can turn them on and turn them off. We can tell when they come in, when they leave. There's all manner of things, when I say security, that are truly for security. I like the idea of going with this group, one, because we're sort of tied in with them in the equipment we have. I can at least vouch that in my business, it's a representative price. I see them from $2,750 to about $3,300, depending upon application and the sophistication of it. They have an existing satisfactory record with Flint, Michigan State Police, Lapeer, Michigan State Police, the City of Flint, and the City of Mount Morris, I was told. So they understand municipalities and law enforcement at some point in time when the new fire station is close to being finished. As a board member, I'd like to see them installed there as well. So there were 6 doors that I remember. Bob, you're gonna have to help me with this.
My office, Patty's office, Teresa's office, there's 3 of them.
A door in the
Front
back,
door.
and the front door.
And I think it's this Xerox room is the one we always have problem with when you have to lack enough for something and we can't get in to get the Xeroxes and stuff. I think that was the 6th one.
So we're not gonna put them on all the outside doors?
I don't think we need them like on this door.
No, I wouldn't think so.
No, we never use that, and even the ones downstairs, there's only one.
Just do, yeah, cause they're just used mainly on
So
election.
if we could get in here or there.
Okay.
Another component, Patty, I'm sorry, I interrupted.
No, I was done.
Another component, everybody, is we no longer, in theory, have to babysit, let's say, a trusted vendor. We can let them in remotely. There are permissions that can be held among board members, among certain board members, that if we need to get somebody in here and they've worked here before, and as a board we're happy that they're trustworthy, we can let them in remotely. We can give them a key fob for that matter on a temporary basis. It's all technology based that is recordable. In addition, there's a service, and don't quote me on this, I have it, that amounts to about $175 a month for ongoing maintenance, whatever would go wrong, they fix, and also for the upgraded equipment for the alarm system. And short of that, I'm bringing this up.
What upgraded equipment alarm? Because when I talked to her, I think we couldn't tie the panic buttons or anything into this.
There is new software that has to be installed in a new box to house this equipment, and it needs to talk to our existing camera equipment. I said alarm, but that's not accurate. The representative is available should we need to talk, or that person can come in. My recommendation is we should go with somebody. I have a track record with this group, so I'm pleased with the price and I'm pleased with their performance. And I don't know if we want to tie this into a vote or table it, but it's out there. And
what was the quote she gave us on that?
Is there a setup fee for the alarms?
Patty, there are those, and that's in there. I'm sorry to say, I'm not a representative of this company, so I don't know, but
if you could shoot me an email.
I've sent everybody an email already.
Okay, thank you.
I can do this. Okay. So we can pass this down if somebody wants to see. It's Bob, if you were the one who wanted to, you could use your finger to go up and down.
Yeah. Do you have a rock bottom price on it?
Yeah, yes, I do.
And what it actually includes?
Is the email from you?
It's a forward from my trustee account to everybody's Groveland Township account.
Yeah, I don't have it. Okay, I don't have
And
it.
I did it when I sat down here. Okay, for 6 access modules, 6 strikes, 6 proximity readers, and 5 complementary access fobs, which will need more. $15,000 and a monthly service total of $125. And actually, I'm going to read something in a second. And in addition to that, there is an upgraded control panel, a touchpad that's needed, and take over and connect to existing intrusion devices. That is $1,950 and an added monthly fee for $48. Now, the monitoring, if this means something to folks, 24-hour monitoring by Internet Central Station, dispatch of appropriate authorities, notification to designated personnel, web-based access to security information, so that's to all of the board members or whoever we give permission to. Recording of arming and disarming by usernames, auto-arming at designated times, $10,000 performance guarantee, emergency service guarantee, false alarm guarantee, lifetime product assurance, and a satisfaction guarantee. I'm sorry to say I can't tell you what all those guarantees mean.
Especially if they're going to charge you a monthly fee to enforce the guarantee.
Yeah. It's a couple $100 a month, and it's about
$1,500 a year.
How much was it? About
18 grand. It looks like for the 6 locks. Then 175.
I don't know why that would be tied into the alarm system keys, because that's really Guardian.
So, Patty, what I'm showing here is monthly fees. This is the total of $173, and total proposal of $16,950. I do believe, again, this is just for this discussion, I believe that fee goes toward the equipment, that should it ever fail, it's fixed.
Okay, so we've got 16,950. Is that just for the card readers for the doors, the 6 doors? Or does that
And the 5
include the
fobs.
touchpad,
That includes the touchpad, and apparently that
5
includes,
fobs,
Yeah.
6 doors, 5 fobs?
and some equipment that I'm incapable of telling you what it does,
And touchpad.
touchpads.
Do we wanna have this on next month's agenda?
I think.
Well, and
I
I'd
would
like, I mean, our policy, or generally, our rule of thumb is to put it out to bid, so I'd like to see something to compare it to, because I don't have any base knowledge on that.
I have none either.
Me neither.
And it's a lot of information.
Right.
I need to.
I
I'd
can
like
see
to
us.
have the sales rep here, to be honest.
Okay.
You know what? That's probably a
That would
great
be great.
idea.
Because I don't,
That'll be
I mean,
yes.
I only know this from what I do for a living, so. Okay,
Yeah, that would be great. And
Okay,
if you
so
know of
you
another
downloaded that to everybody?
yeah, honestly.
Okay,
you know,
so if
some-
you contact her, cause she's, you.
I have her number.
Yeah, I told her that you're the main contact, you can set her up for the next board meeting, we can get that, okay.
All right, and,
Did any of that include the cameras that we already have?
They can't,
Just something to communicate with them.
I don't think there's any way to tie, the cameras we have are 2 different distinct systems, there's a
Right.
Guardian alarm
I
system.
know.
And then the panic button is through this sound pro. I don't believe there's any way to tie the Guardian alarm system when I talked to her into this, okay?
It's Guardian.
But
yes, you and I are going to the same place
I'm
with that.
speaking about the cameras that we have in the front.
The security ones?
Yeah.
The ones that come up
Aren't
on
they
the TV.
Sonatrol? Those are
Those,
Sonatrol.
yeah,
I'm sure that.
but I
that's
don't
part
think
of it.
there was a way to get those in there. But
Well, here's a point that we need to discuss, and if either of you folks know this off the top of your head. At some point, I think in the fairly near future, the Guardian contract is gonna terminate, or at least get to the point where we don't have a penalty. So we do need to look at that. You're staring through me, so are you thinking of,
That's a fair point.
yeah, no, Patty brought this up at some point in time, it's one of the reasons it's in my head. So at some point in time, we have to consider if we're gonna embrace this, whatever vendor has to be in concert where we either terminate Guardian prematurely and then go with somebody else. But I would like to move this forward, I think it's important for the security.
yeah, I think we need, and we have to have something in place so we know what we're gonna do in the new building when it gets built.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
Oh,
would be nice
absolutely.
for city
But-
continuity.
The preface originally for looking at somebody else other than Guardian was because we had so darn many problems with this one for so long, but I hate to say this for fear of jinxes it, it actually been working good lately.
I can tell everybody here, I have dealt in my career a lot with Guardian in the last 5 years. They are the dregs of the earth. Terrible to deal with, and we don't have an alarm system either professionally or personally at the house with Guardian. They've got a pretty crummy reputation now in the community.
Okay, well, you'll have her come to the next meeting?
I will ask
We
her.
got it
to
all
come here.
downloaded, we can go over
And
that.
this is all tied to our Wi-Fi?
Mhm.
So if the Wi-Fi, I'm just speaking from like houses that Wi-Fi goes down frequently. I don't know how much that happens here, but if
No,
it
we
goes
could just
down,
open the door and
it's
come in,
bad.
don't we?
So Gina, I'm gonna answer that it may not be, it may be a dialer system with the internet, and I don't mean a phone dial,
Right.
it may connect by internet. I don't know the mechanics of it.
Because we lost our internet and everything today earlier.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That happens a lot.
Yeah.
here.
That is unfortunately a limitation, but whether or not they have designed into this a phone system, like at my house, for example, I have a phone,
Right.
so if it can get to a cellular station, it can still communicate. Okay, so I'll make this happen. I will have to explore in the industry who the other good names are. I don't know. And I'll talk to some other facility managers and I'll make recommendations to Patty and get them to quote.
Okay.
Just so we can compare. Just,
Yeah.
We send the quotes.
No,
Yeah.
I get it. It's all good.
All right.
Okay, moving
Okay,
on.
thank you.
Thank you, Jim. The next item, M, is the acronym is MILAF resolution. That's yours, Teresa?
Yes, so I did include for you, so we did a resolution back in November, where we added 3 depositories to the list of depositories that were approved. Unfortunately, I chose the highlighted one, PFM Asset Management. That is the name of the parent company, and so the actual, I guess the way it should have read was either MILAF or GovMIC, and GovMIC stands for Government Michigan. So this is a local government investment pool that offers very good rates for fixed rate, fixed term rates on CDs and things like that.
You're just putting the division that
Yeah,
actually
exactly. So when I submitted everything, because these things take time, so I had submitted everything and got stuff going with Michigan Class, but I wanted to start with this, and when I submitted it all, you know, several weeks ago, I got this back, and so I had to wait till the board meeting. So really all I just would like to do is just make a motion that we change the name from PFM Asset Management to GovMIC. I think we should just say MILAF /GovMIC as the depository on resolution 2022-015. Can I make the motion? Can I do that, Patty, to just change a wording of a motion or a resolution
It's
that's
not changing
already
the
in
intent or
existence?
No,
anything,
I'm
you're just correcting the division.
We'll cross it out and
Correct.
put the
Yeah.
minutes with the, resolution in the resolution book and with the, budget.
Okay, so I didn't know if we needed to just make a whole new resolution, or just we can just change the wording on this one to reflect
I think
what
we can.
it has to be.
Correct.
So that's really all it is. It's the same company. We've already approved everything. I just needed to name it specifically to the subcategory that they've suggested that I do it. So the subclass.
That's your motion?
So my motion is to just change the wording on our resolution regarding the adopting investment policy of resolution 2022-015 to change PFM Asset Management to MILAF /GovMIC.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Gina? Okay, any questions or comments from the board? So no money involved, so all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, it's done. And the next item is the one I added at the end, and that is the letter that we were actually talking about before from the library. The Friends of the Library. This one's sent us a letter that said the Brandon Township Library, Friends of the Brandon Township Library, are asking if anybody wants to join their friends group, and it's a $10 fee for an individual, $50 for any business. So I assume as a township it would be considered business if we want to make the $50 donation to it. I'm just reading the letter, folks.
Do you have a thought, Gina?
She has a thought.
Well, no, my thought is, it's the Brandon Township Library, and unless we go through Holly, we don't get to use the Brandon
Exactly.
Township Library. I do go there, I love the Friends of the Library. I would be more inclined to make a $10 donation on my own and not do it politically. Sorry, that's what yeah. Yes, I have something to say. Surprise?
Okay. So if there's anyone else want to comment on it?
I'm open.
Can I see the letter for just a second?
Yeah.
Thanks.
I shared earlier that I also was inclined to make that same $10 donation myself, because I do use the library, and they did say if you make a $10 donation, they're giving you $10 worth of coupons to spend at the Friends of the Library bookstore. So, I mean, if you find some stuff you like there, it's hard to resist making that donation. Seeing it right,
You might have found that book to that series I gave you.
Exactly.
Because I donated a lot of books there at one point, a
They
few years
donated some
ago.
books too.
And
Any comment?
I'd probably be buying back my mother's books.
Okay, if there's, unless somebody has another comment, I'll just move on, we discussed it. Okay?
Yeah.
All right, that concludes the new business part. Moving on to miscellaneous for the reports. Holly, area youth assistance first.
So the higher board meeting was the other day, but I have information from the, let me think, the May meeting. So they had 9 apps received for skill building. Golf fundraiser is coming up on September 16th of 2023 at the Fenton Farms. 6 youth were recognized on May 18th, 2023. And they used to have 2 $500 scholarships, and they increased it from 2 to 1, so the scholarship is worth $1,000. And at this point, they had 1 applicant. So, yeah, that's that. That's all I've got.
Okay, thank you, Patty. Teresa?
Sure. So the VGYA meeting is tomorrow. So I was unable to attend in May, but basically they do keep the website up to date and their Facebook page. Everything's pretty much posted on that. We did get a thank you from the Brandon Groveland Youth Assistance from Jeannie McCreary, and I just wanted to read this that says, Dear Township Board, Groveland Township, thank you for providing certificates of recognition for our youth recognition ceremony. Brandon Groveland Youth Assistance is thankful for your annual support for this event. The kids just love receiving these certificates, and it's fun to watch their faces as they open the folder and look at each one. They often reference the certificates in their college applications. Your support is very appreciated. Bob DePalma earns the award for the most consecutive attendance. He is hereby dubbed BGYA Youth Recognition's biggest fan. Cordially, Jeannie McCreary and members of BGYA Youth Recognition Committee. So, I wanted to recognize that.
Thanks.
Yes, and we have a meeting tomorrow.
Okay, we'll tell her thanks. Okay, then moves to Planning Commission, Jim?
Yeah, the planning commission met, and the only discussion that I remember centered around the parking and traffic issues at the Michigan Renaissance Festival. And subjectively, they actually came prepared with a presentation that was borderline businesslike. I was
very
not
good,
expecting it. And I'm sorry, I'm just very suspicious of the competency of the festival. In any event, I believe on the 27th, we will have a quorum. The Planning Commission will vote on whether or not to renew their use permit.
And I've made arrangements. Vinny's going to come in and video that whole meeting. We'll put the whole thing on YouTube so everybody can see the whole 9 yards of the presentation.
Yeah, I have no opinion how the board will vote. None. I think the only thing I can say is I was personally surprised that they came with a decent presentation.
They did. I might say that it was pretty comprehensive, but the biggest item that's hanging on all of this is the construction work they're doing on I-75 from 106 down to where M15 crosses. That's a 4-year project, and I know when I came home this weekend from the lake, I had to go over to M15, which had double blockages on it because Dixie had been filled up with all the traffic that normally went on I-75, and that stuff's scheduled for the next 4 years. I get usually 2 notices a week on which viaducts they're closing or which service lanes they're blocking off to work on that. So the big concern is, and what we really don't know is, if they have something planned like that from MDOT, they're not likely to stop that work because of a given activity like the Renaissance Festival.
Yeah, we can only hope that the Renaissance Festival will be proactive and try to find out and stay ahead of it.
And that's why I give them all the notices too. And the only other consolation is MDOT actually hired Fishbeck, the consulting firm we were using. One of their Fishbeck people is the project engineer on it. And when I found that out, I've talked to him. He says, I'm well aware of the Renaissance Festival. So I think if there's any latitude on when they might move certain parts of that work, he'll try and do it because he understands what's going to happen. But that's the big caveat. I think actually if it wasn't for that, I felt pretty good with the presentation they did, that they made a lot of significant adjustments. I mean, one of them is we're not getting any more free tickets. The second one is they're not putting any promo tickets on the last 3 weekends, because that's always when it's busy. They've redesigned the parking lot to add huge stacking lanes inside the parking facility so that they can try and get it all off of Dixie. And they've hired, for the first time I think, a professional parking company so that they're sure that people will show up with more people than they've had. Now the other caveat is they're gonna start charging for parking. But it's not the people that are letting them in. They got a whole separate group of people, and I think that's still a volunteer group that's gonna go in and try and get 10 bucks a head from people after they've pulled it in park. Should be interesting to see what they got rated on that.
For the first time since I've been a board member and a planning commission member, it really appears that they looked at it as, let's say, a business class case study, and brought in some people that are experienced in the areas that they're not, or that they're falling down on. And while it does give me some confidence, it seems that every year something goes on that's not their fault. Now, I will tell you this, that I reviewed my notes prior to coming here this evening, and there is some manner of an approach, alteration to the main entry there. My opinion is it's going to require a permit, and Gina gets it. If it's not filed, I don't know what strings you're gonna pull, but that needs to get done. So that might be on their wish list, but execution-wise, I don't know. So we'll vet that all out, and I'm gonna engage one of the planning commissioners. Did I miss anything, Dave? Okay. Kevin?
It's charged by the car rather than the occupants.
Yes.
It would consolidate people into cars.
That's another point, yeah.
And they did say that, and they're charging, the fee, I believe, is $10 a car.
Yeah. Remember, the parking lot holds 6,500 cars a day, if they're only filled once. Huh?
I think capacity is closer to 9,000.
Is it 9? I mean, maybe it was 9,500?
I'm pretty sure it is.
Okay, a day, if they only get 1 car in each slot, and they basically kind of run 2 shifts, because it's around 1 o'clock that first wave leaves and a lot of other people come in, that is going to generate a huge amount of money. Yeah. Assuming they all pay and they don't have fights in the parking lot over it.
That's all I can tell you about the planning commission meeting.
It was the best presentation they made. I do think Jim Peterson is honestly trying. We'll just have to see how well it works or not, and what works and what doesn't work. And the big question is still going to be what happens on I-75.
Yeah.
And all I can do is, and I've done it from the beginning, as soon as I get the notices, I pass them to the chief, and I pass them to the Danielle, and I pass them to the Renaissance Festival, and I pass them to the chair of the planning commission, so everybody gets the notice on exactly what lane or viaduct closures are taking place every week now. Thank you, Jim.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, next BZ8, Gina.
We did have a meeting last month. The family was able to prove a hardship, and so a pole barn, small garage was granted that would be slightly in front of their residence, as there's no way it was going behind.
Okay. Was that it?
That's it.
Okay. On mine, I mean, we've talked about, like Kersley Creek Interceptor for the sewer project has been approved. I got letters back from the county on the actual approvals that came back from Genesee Drain Commission, so that's all in motion now. They think that's about a 2-year project to build the Kersley Creek Interceptor. In the meantime, the $1 million they got from Melissa Slotkin will be used by the 4 communities to reevaluate the potential for the number of sewer hookups to see whether or not it's viable to do the phase 2 and phase 3, which is eventually to tie into the Holly, Groveland, Ortonville Village, and Brandon Township for their 2 lakes. So I can't tell you any more about that until we see what those studies actually come up with. But at this point in time, the Drain Commissioner's office did a yeoman's job on keeping his commitment, because I walked into the April meeting fully expecting to tell him, okay, we're dropping out of this. Nobody could tell me what it's actually going to cost. We're going out, and they actually had the Oakland County Board of Commissioners approved the $10 million. It's paying for the capacity that we're sharing in that Kersey Creek Interceptor out of their ARPA funds. And to that end, they actually gave us, what was it, about a month ago or so, maybe 6 weeks, we got our $25,000 back that we had coming to us from ARPA. So
It was only a few weeks ago.
yeah, but it took a long time, but they did keep their word and do everything they said they would do. So we're getting that capacity, and if we didn't have that, there would never be a sewer anywhere here. And we don't, as I've told you before, we don't have any intention of doing that for the residential hookups. It was just to facilitate the business district growth and hopefully our industrial park. We did have a groundbreaking for the industrial park for our new Fire Station 1 and MSP detachment building. The contract gives him until December of '24 to get the building done, but Barry said he'll probably have it done in the spring. So, and if you remember how Mavis Task Force 1 went up, something that happened, then the cement gets poured, the building gets delivered, and all of a sudden everything happens real quick. So that's all on track. I do have Danielle taking all of our parcels that are on the township property for the technology park, and we're submitting a new description to combine. I think it's about 6 pieces, isn't it, Danielle? 6 or 7?
Yeah.
Pieces into one big site. Our township attorney is drawing up the agreement for the site condominium development. So when we start marketing the lots, we can move property lines around a lot easier without actually doing land divisions every time. I have some preliminary discussions with a promoter in the area to work on some of the marketing papers that we want to get in place. So really in the next couple of months, I think all that paperwork gets filed. Was about maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, the county approved our new zoning map and overlay district for that parcel. So that's all in place. As soon as I get the documents back from Will, and I can't remember, I think Kylie was the other attorney's name, back on the site condo, we'll be able to go back to the Detroit Regional Economic Development Group and list the whole parcel for potential development, and they have quite a bit of horsepower behind them in being able to promote this to other sites. There's a distinct possibility that it might have some real appeal, not just as an industrial park, but as what they call a mega site, because there's a lot of acres there, and there aren't that many big acreage parcels left anywhere in Oakland County. If you think about it, the GM new plant for the batteries, that's where the palace used to be, that's only on 35 acres. So we've got enough property to do some good stuff with it. But it's all getting there. When we get the marketing pieces done, and that'll probably be later, I would think in the fall, we'll run it so people can see what we're doing, what we're trying to promote on it. We'll have all the piece parts together done, and then we'll actively try and get some accounts. I did get a letter from the Oakland County Economic Development people that wanted to know what the status was, and I gave her the answer today, because they got some people that they think might be interested in it. So we've got 3 or 4 things that we can follow on. I've just learned that it takes so long to get some of the technical pieces in place first that I am hesitant to talk to anyone else and then have it get snagged again on some of those technical parts. But they're all in the mill right now, every one of them. And if you're curious about the speed limit signs that we bought, the radar ones, we do have the ability to, are getting the ability to put them in. It turns out that fire department got kind of swamped with a lot of runs, and I went back to the road commission and said, what do you guys want to put them up? I don't care if it's more, I gotta get them up. And it turned out that none of the posts that, this is where you don't believe it until you start looking at it, none of the speed limit posts that we have are strong enough to hold the box up with the solar cells on it. And they can't do it with a standard sign post, you know, it's kind of a 3-sided deal, looks like a big fence rail. They have to get some sort of 4-sided square box tubing for it, and she's getting the price on that. As soon as she gets that, they're gonna get back to me with the price, and we'll get those 4 radar signs installed, and we'll see what they do. And they're gonna have the ability to capture the data on what the speeds are of the cars that actually go by. So when people say, oh, they're going 100, we'll be able to go and say, no, actually, you had 17 that went 58, you had 14 that went 55, and 16 of them went 61, or whatever it actually is. So we'll know how effective it is, and hopefully slow anything down. That's pretty much what I had. Patty, did you have anything to add?
Well, on Wednesday, Eli Cooper is the head of the transit in Oakland County now.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
And there is a meeting here for Holly, Groveland, is Rose?
Yes.
Road, all of us northern Oakland folks, and we're gonna see what we can hash out with them to see what they can do for us. There was a survey online.
About 500 responses.
There were about 500 responses
This Wednesday?
this Wednesday.
Now, I'm just being honest with you, all I did was offer the building.
Yes, he reached
It's
out
actually
to us.
Oakland County's meeting,
Yes,
so I
it's
don't know.
Oakland County.
if
It's
open
at
to public or not.
2:30 to 4 o'clock.
2:34.
I didn't, yeah, I'm surprised they didn't have this with the survey in the paper.
Well, because I don't know that it's honestly, I don't know if it was intended to be a public meeting.
Yeah,
I just said, you can have it here if you want it, and then
they wanted to.
it took them 2 weeks to say, oh yeah, we're gonna have it there.
The other thing is elections. So, elections are coming. Goodrich. It'll be okay, nobody panic. Goodrich they have a sinking fund millage on the November election. They were gonna run it in August, they didn't do it, they're gonna do it in November. So that will be only the Goodrich voters, so if anybody hears there's an election and you're not part of Goodrich schools, live in Goodrich, it's not pertaining to you. Next, we did meet with the county, Janelle and I, regarding the 9 days of voting. So they're starting to put together some thoughts on how all this can work. They're looking at making, they're calling it a hub, so like maybe Holly, Rose, Springfield, and Groveland would be in one group. And it was suggested to have it at Springfield Oaks. That would mean anybody here who wanted to vote within that 9 days would have to go to Springfield Oaks to do it. Now, I'm just telling you what they presented to us. I have not made a decision yet. So we're gonna work on that a little more, Janelle and I. The other option is to partner with just 2 communities if we wanted to on our own, or just have it here for the 9 days. You would vote the Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday before the election, I know. And I will say I'm leaning more towards just keep it here. That's how I feel about it.
Is it one of the problems they said nobody's figured out how to say if a person goes there in the 9 days and votes, that they don't come here and vote again? And nobody knows how to double check that, so it doesn't happen.
But if they come, if we have it here,
It's
they're
all here.
only here.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, our poll book would be loaded and downloaded every day to the QB app. Some of the problem is, eventually, I believe, just saying, they will go live with the poll books, so it'll be in real time, and that way, they could maybe read out some of that. But right now, so it would be our poll book, our election workers right here. If we
That would be
go
the
this
poll book
way.
actually transmitted.
You can just see that's not gonna be something that starts and works easy.
Right, well, we would have to, and every night we'd have to take the ballots out of the ballot box, put them in a ballot case, lock them up, and keep them, keep this room locked or wherever we have it. So it's secure, nobody can get in. So that's what they're looking at.
Readers by that.
They are also looking at February being an election. I was thinking it was gonna be earlier, but I guess it is the 27th. So you'll vote in February. And then they're looking at changing to June. I don't think that's happened yet. Then your primary would be in June. And then November for your, which I have not yet figured out how all this is gonna work, because if you run for an office, what'd you say? And you get elected, generally, office is taken on the 20th of November after the canvassers have to seal the election and all. But there's also a bit there that any overseas voters or military have 6 days after the election. If we receive their ballot within 6 days after the election, we have to come.
So when will we know who
This
wins?
is what I'm saying. I don't know how long it's gonna take for them to secure, you know, to canvass this
The
election.
long and short is more to follow, right?
Yeah, there'll be more to follow. We will keep you updated the best we can, but right now, that's what I can.
Keep it in-house.
And I am, yeah. We kept our AVs here and it worked out just fine. There's gonna be some more things they're looking at. You'll no longer get an application to vote for an AV ballot. What you'll do is you're gonna get an application somewhere in the future, and you're gonna choose to be mailed the ballot, automatically mail the ballot, instead of having to send out applications every, you know, every election. That's what the talk is. So we'll see what happens. We just have to ride the waves, I
So
guess.
there's no way
The
to check
tidal
if someone
wave.
still lives here or anything like that, they're just gonna mail it.
Well, that's still being looked
Wasn't that
at.
what they did last time?
Yeah, that's why Ryan got one, yeah.
Yeah.
4 years after it moved.
So, we'll see how it all works out. I'm not sure that's all good news. I'm like, oh geez. So, we'll battle it and figure it out.
Okay. Teresa, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Just a couple things. So the settlement was approved and the money was sent to us for settlement. I posted it to current tax collection, so the amount to the fire department as well as the township. So that was for the remaining part, the make-whole portion of the 2022 tax roll. The tax bills are being prepared, everything's done, I'm just waiting on Oakland County to approve the rates. I've submitted everything, I'm in the queue to be approved, and it should go to the printer this week sometime. They will be sent out, the tax bills will be sent out at the end of the month, payable starting July 1st. It's hard to believe it's already that time. July 18th is the Board of Review, and the July and December Board of Reviews are for reviewing hardship or poverty exemption applications, and the 2023 poverty exemption application is now available with the updated income limitations to, by HUD. And when the cable manager does come in next, he will post this on the website in place of the 2022 application. So that's pretty much it. The one other thing was that I know I mentioned we did get approved for the power plan grant for the $5,000 for playground renovation, and we are scheduled to have that work done next Monday, June 19th. So once it's completed and we have to submit photos, copies of invoices paid, etc. And once we do that, we can submit to the power plan to get the reimbursement for the grant. But it's gonna take probably 2 days to complete. So we're gonna wanna make sure that people know, and that obviously I'll leave that to you, Patty, and for the Facebook page, things like that. And because the sign currently isn't working right now,
Yes, the sign's out.
so we've got some
Orders
parts, on order. So if you've noticed that nothing's changed in the past several weeks, it's because there's no communication right now. Otherwise, we can put this on the sign and so on. But I was thinking about putting a sign out by the playground, like a laminated something or another that just says this is going to happen.
Reconstruction.
Yeah, because it's complete renovation. It's going to be amazing when it's done. Excited about that. So that's
Good
all
job
I
in
have.
getting that grant.
I wanted to add one more thing. So there was a bill passed that cemeteries are to provide the flag holders for veterans. And we didn't have very many flag holders on our veterans. Usually families were doing it, or they tell the family it was their job to do that. but now you can't. So I did go, I should have grabbed it, would have brought it out with me. I did order enough with like 20 left over for our veterans, for the Mount Bethel Cemetery and Olive Branch on Holly Road. And they are metal, they're really nice looking. And I want to thank Bill McInerney, he went out and put all the flags on the graves for us. So.
Okay. Well, moving on to the last item on the agenda, public comment. I'm just gonna cover something before I open it up to everybody. I have received 3 or 4 emails from a resident, mostly complaining about the amount of chloride on the road being too heavy. It's the same person who's complained last year. And I've had, following that, probably 2 to 1 complaints of people saying we don't have enough chloride on it because it's been so dry and been dusty. So this happens every year. I told that resident if he wanted to address the board, he could, but I got an email from him just the other day that said, wow, this last chloride was just great, thanks. That's all. It's the same truck driver with the same truck. I'm glad he's happy now. So I don't know, if he shows up next month, we'll let him talk then, because he didn't show up this month. He sent a letter, but the last letter was a happy letter where he was satisfied with it. Okay, so now with that, I'd like to open it to any other public comment. Is there anybody that has any questions or comments they want to make before we move to the fire board? Okay, if not, then a motion to adjourn would be in order and reconvene for the fire board.
I will make a motion to adjourn and reconvene for the fire board.
All in favor?
Support.
I'm sorry, that's right. Jumped
Was
over.
that support, Betty? Betty?
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, we're done with the regular board meeting. I'll follow up on those items tomorrow. And then Kevin, we'll reconvene for your fire board meeting. The floor is yours.
Thank you. We end up with 75 calls for the month of May. Currently, we're at 37 calls for this month. That gave our total 367 for the month of May. I talked with Chief Pfeiffer in Springfield, who's basically 2.5 times our size as far as population, and he's about 200 calls ahead of us. So it's we're tracking basically where we were, a little bit more than last year. 41 and 43 passed the in-service for the state inspection. Only issue we had was we had to have a backup VHF, UHF radio, and I couldn't program them via the keypad. I had to get a table so we could program them, and it came in the next day, and they're all done now. So they're in service, but we're holding off putting them in service to start using them because we ordered the Hearst mounts so we can easily move them from, so we can move them from one truck to the other rather than take them out of one, put it in the other. I ordered those today. It's $500 just for the mounts. We had some wrap changes we'd like to change on 41. They stopped at the wheel well. We'd like it to extend all the way to the front. And there's also
cosmetic wrap on the
right. And then on 41, we thought it was dirt. Actually, it was white paint that didn't get covered. And so we called contacted the manufacturer, and they're going to fix it up. The ISO inspection went well. Lee is a very nice guy. We had a good talk with him. We had the pallet fire that morning, so I had to call him up and say, hey, we can't, we're kind of busy right now. So he postponed it till 1 o'clock that day, and went very detail oriented, and he wanted some additional information. I think we've submitted it all. I sent him a text today asking if there's anything else we owed him. We had 30 days to respond with all the information he asked. And he also said that when he gets his number, it will go to you and myself, Bob, the final result.
The letter they sent.
Yeah. Sergeant Millar is, I forget what city she's at now, but she's at fire inspector training this week.
Right.
I think so. And then I'm got a subpoena to go to court tomorrow to testify in a court case. It initially said all week, but the prosecutor said just tomorrow at 10 o'clock will be fine. So that's a lot better than the initial.
Which in a court case probably means all day tomorrow.
Yeah, other than that, nothing. We ordered some more fittings, replaced 4 fittings on, well, 2 fittings on engine 1 and 2 fittings on engine 2. They just started jamming up and it's very hard to open. So that was $2,200 for 4 fittings for that. And
you're getting a price on that guy that said he could do the packing on the pump a lot
right,
cheaper,
he came by to
Big
fix
savings if that works.
Alpha 3. They put a 90-degree elbow on the exhaust, and he was bragging that they could do it a lot cheaper. I said, well, give me a quote, so we'll see what they can do for that. And we're slowly going through the trucks, we fixing up some things. Tanker 1's got a leaky valve, and so we got that valve in, but we're going to order another valve to tank the pump that's leaking too, so that we can do it all at once. So. And I contacted Barry about changing the lift pump on Tanker 1, but we haven't heard anything more back on that.
Okay.
That's all I had.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions?
Any questions from the audience? If not, I think a motion to adjourn would be in order.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Follow up on a couple items tomorrow.
Yes, I was hired full-time in January.
Oh, good.
Oh,
Nice to meet you.
Hi, Scott.
Thanks for stopping
Good,
by.
how are you? It's good. Yep.
Busy giving a little.
No, not really. That's okay. This guy has a job now. He's
Yeah, if you're working on it.
Actually, I sent these.
Sometimes people think our address is .gov, and it's not .gov. If people send it, I said, I didn't get it. I keep them on file because I know they're going to open up, but I always like to hear. Thank you for coming. Now look forward.
So, I'm gonna sell some stuff on eBay to come, but I'll let you know what I have set up. It's gonna be tonight. He told me the details was gonna be good. It's gonna be 67, 65. So the receive on the page is 477, 65, and the transmit, thing is his because eventually I'm gonna put a tower up on that ridge behind my house to get it even higher.
I put up a 30-foot.
and then when you
Just pipe through my garage. And I might be buying two shipping containers, 20-footers around.
So that still leaves us with the.
But not my one in here.
That's okay, I read my mind, if you want to vote, that should be your priority, that's right. Show up. And this is
I have access to one of those, I just have to go get it.
I feel
So if you go to their website, and then right now it's at
This is like a 335
And
that
you know what?
put a riser on it.
And then
all these
really trying to do is talk to
Exactly.
So that's what we've been trying to get. Yes, that's the only reason. Yeah, I can give it right now.
So you can try to do it like
As long as somebody's willing to stay for a few minutes.
I should just do it. At least get my technician. Is it from like the American Radio Relay? Yeah.
I didn't say it out loud, but we made $33,000 in interest.
You pay one time,
Just because,
Inspectors, now
isn't that amazing? I mean, we'd be lucky to have made $33,000 just all last year.
It isn't, it's
Right, we made like